Marlon, good morning. Good morning, guys. Welcome to tea time. Hi, everybody. Mm, How's everybody doing? This is Stacey Hines, and this is my live channel every Saturday morning. I go live on both Instagram and on YouTube. So if this is your first time joining, welcome. The whole idea here is for you to grab a cup of tea. Oops. The whole idea here is for you to grab a cup of tea and to join me, or coffee or chocolate, whatever your thing is, and join me as we do this life journey thing, and we try to support each other and our community as we create a life of intentionality. Like, we're not just out here running the streets, figuring it out as we go. There's some of that in there too. But we are actively and intentionally choosing who we are becoming today and tomorrow and every day. And it, of course, starts off with the power of intention. So I'm going to be having my usual tea this morning. It has become a staple. I'll actually share what that is. I usually mix it up. By the time I'm actually talking to you guys, I'm already mixing it. But I'll share what that is with you in just a few moments. First thing I want to do is I want to pull an intention card. It's been one of those weeks where my intention cards have been saving my headspace because it's been an intense week. My clients have been intense. Home has been intense. Just a whole lot of intensity going on right now, right? My foot, the whole healing process, that's been intense. So I avoid using the word hard. And so intense is my new word to replace it, so that I'm not so focused on how challenging things are. Anywho, good morning, everybody. All right, so my card for today is one that I don't pull often, actually. It says, I am untethered. And you can kind of see, the images of somebody kind of separating themselves from themselves. And what the affirmation that you're supposed to say or read to yourself is, my soul is free from judgment, expectations, and attachment to outcomes. Woo! This one is intense. So good morning. This morning, we are being untethered, and I'm going to weave that into our conversation today because it's actually very relevant. I wanted to keep our discussion going about really getting our year off and headed in the direction that we want. We're now in, this is what, week 3? So we're starting week 3 coming up on Monday of our new year. And I'm feeling, I guess, present to my intentions. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Whenever you set an intention for something, and I'm not necessarily talking about a goal, but whenever you have this desire in mind for any area of your life, and you start to feel all the good feelings that are a part of what it would mean if you could achieve this thing, what starts to happen is you start to attract all the different, I suppose, ways that you need to grow. People would call them challenges, all the different things that are going to help you with bringing the person that you need to be to have the thing you want. You start experiencing all these things in life that help you to develop that person, to start to lean into who that person is, right? And so I think that started to happen with me this week. And I'll explain to you exactly what is going on. I have these 3 areas that I decided I'm going to focus on for this year. And I know, just being a coach, by actually coaching people and, being an author and writing these different courses and books, I know that in order for this to work properly or to even have a chance, I need to set up some kind of routine that's going to help me. That's what works for me, right? So I share a lot of the things that work for me. okay, and have been proven and scientifically, etc., etc. So what I do is I have my things that I know at the top of my head, even if I don't have it all spelled out. I will have my intention and I'll have my goals that I want to achieve for this year. So my intention this year came from two words because I could not decide which of the two words, right? So the two words I have stuck. I haven't been able to synthesize it down to one, which is fine. So my two words are commitment and audacity. That's the first thing. So I got really clear about where do I really need to set my intention. And that came from my reflection part. All right. Then now I say, okay, so why these words? And the words are related to me recognizing that I have not been committed to this journey. I haven't been committed to showing up in a way that I know will propel me forward, right? Doesn't mean that I have not shown up. You know, you guys, if you follow me at all, you would see my channels stay pretty active and, you know, they do all of that. But the level of commitment, it requires more than my social media and my blogs. And, you know, it required more. It requires me learning the industry, it requires me understanding what it means to be in media. There's a whole heap more. And that I had to come to terms with the fact that I wasn't committed, not in the way I needed to be. And then I was like, well, why am I not committed? So this is all coming through the reflection work, you know. I actually have my year of intention workbook here. So I sat down and I'm reflecting on why it is that I have this dream in my journal over and over for how much years now. And I've achieved all these other things, but the thing that I say I want, it's just not happening. So I have to go and I have to look. Because otherwise I might as well just dash with a dream because I'm not serving it, right? So I go back and I'm digging around. And as I'm doing the reflection piece and I'm asking myself, well, why haven't you been committed? And the answer was so clear. It didn't even I didn't have to think about it or mull over it. It was the first thing that came to my mind. And the reason why I have not been so committed is because I did not believe in myself. Now, I know some of you might be like, well, Stacey, you seem like a confident person, assertive. I am. I am a confident, assertive person when it comes to being a lady boss in tech, when it comes to boss in a boardroom or a bedroom. Yeah, man, no, well confident. I got it. I got it down pat, right? But when it came to now moving into a completely different industry, looking at new markets, understanding a completely different business model that required me to step out of my comfort zone, I was hemming and hawing. I was procrastinating. I was not being consistent. I was not doing a lot of the things that come so natural to me in the other area of my life, in the consulting, techie girl, you know, I could do that in my sleep, right? So when I realized that, it was like a box in my face, honestly, guys. It was like, whoa, you don't believe in yourself. Okay, so then what does that mean? You can't just be committed. Like that can't be the only intention. You have to double down, my girl. So my intention now also came in the belief aspect. And that's where the audacity piece came in. I was actually looking at this content creators. A content creator I was watching, and she was talking about the reason why she thinks a lot of persons who she sees, you know, saying that they're going to do something why they fail is because they do not have the audacity to believe in themselves. And when I heard her, I was like, yes, girl, I feel shame about. At the same time, I'm like, that is me. And if you know Stacey not going to run and hide from the thing, at least not for very long. We're going to face it. And so my intention is being committed to the audacity of believing in myself. I know it's a mouthful for y'all, but it's my intention, so don't worry. So my intention for 2024 is to be committed to the audacity of believing in myself. And I'm welcoming, I'm inviting, I'm encouraging you guys to lean into an intention for yourself for the year. I'm going to say, if it's like, you don't have to be microscopic about this thing and start to get all clinical. You just have to be more deliberate. And in being deliberate, you are putting out an energy. You're putting out a silent prayer, or maybe not so silent because I'm clearly talking to a whole bunch of y'all. You're putting something out there that says, this is how I'm showing up this year. No, once you make that statement, which I did, then it was okay, well, what does that mean? What areas of your life do you have to do it in? So I went back into the workbook now, and I'm like, all right, so I know what areas. I went through, I looked at all the 6 areas in the workbook. I looked at them. I looked at love and relationships. I had some stuff there, health and wellness. I looked at the business and career. So I was just looking through all the different things, and my 3 areas, after I went through and I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff, my 3 areas were my business, my lifestyle, some aspects of my lifestyle really about home and, feeling home and stuff like that. And then I had my physical fitness, my wellness. So what are yours? Did you actually choose things that you need to nurture? Did you go through and do the assessment? Remember, there's this assessment, like if it's nothing else, that I would say you need to just even think about it. Think about what areas of your life need the nurturing. And when I say need nurturing, not just what you want, but what you need, right? Because sometimes you can't get to the want part until you service the need part. Yeah. So I went through, did the assessment piece, and I realized that I needed to do more work around just how you say, spending the time to affirm the spaces that weren't working. So where there wasn't belief, I needed to secure that section, so in the last couple of weeks, like once I figured this out, which took me into probably this week, I was still working on stuff this week. I suppose I'll be working on it all year. Like, just doesn't always just come. I said, okay, for the business, there's a big financial part there, right? The business is not just about the work part, but it's also about the outcomes from the work. So there's a big financial focus. And so I said, okay, well, what are the things I'm doing? I signed up for a finance class specifically related to a market that I'm moving into because I need to know the market. So I had my first class this week. It's a 6-week course, 1 day, couple hours, 6 weeks. So I signed up because I wanted to understand the market that I'm now looking to get my business in. I need to understand the money, how the money works. I also realized that I have a lot of things in lifestyle, which I said to you, right? I said lifestyle. So I have business stuff and I have lifestyle stuff, and all of that is going to cost money. And so I was like, okay, last year I had finance goals. I had business goals, I had finance goals. And so I hired a wealth coach last year. And this year, what I did was my wealth coach wrote a book. And so I bought the book, right? And I have now the homework to actually go through with Honeyboo, go through the book and figure out how it applies. Okay. So those 2 things started this week. Oh, and then there's a third thing. I decided that to learn more about the industry, this industry where I'm sitting down doing this work, so good, I was going to hire a coach. Now, I'm a coach, right? If you want to work with me, you can let me know. I'm available, right? I will say to you that coaching has been the one thing that has really supported my transformation. And if you have a coach that you currently work with and they don't have a coach, no, it don't work. Coaches need coaches. Your coach should have a coach or a mastermind, or I can't even say a mentor. It have to be like, yeah. So I've had coaches for years now, for 10 years now. I've always had a coach in some way, shape, or form. It's an investment that either I have made directly or my company has made on my behalf. It's something I believe in. Earlier this week, I think it was maybe yesterday or day before yesterday, I saw another influencer that I follow, and she was posting, she used one of my favorite quotes from Theodore Roosevelt about being in the arena. And she was posting about being the man in the arena. And let me tell you something. When you go to any sporting event, you do not see those people out there, those athletes, you don't see them out there without a coach. The people in the arena, them have a coach. Even when you go back to gladiators, right? They were doing all this gladiating and beating up of each other in their little quarters before they entered the big arena with Caesar and all the people screaming to, let the lions eat them. So guys, you have to put the things in place to support your journey, right? And so I realized, okay, I have my coach is available to me on call, and I also bought the book. The finance class that I'm taking is also, it's training. The person that's leading is a VP for some bank in this market in the US, and so I'm getting training and coaching. And then I hired a coach for the industry that I'm moving into. And I had my first coaching session with her on Thursday. And you know why the coaching is so important? It's actually why you guys come here on a Saturday morning. It's because you kind of need you need somebody else who's objective, who's not in your life, to say to you, you need a drape up. You're making excuses. You're not looking at yours. You're not facing yourself. You're not talking to yourself. You're not speaking about the things that you need for yourself. Like you need that in your life. And it is not it's not an investment that should be taken lightly. It is an investment of time and money. And I make sure that in my budget, I start talking to Honeyboy about it from last year, because I know, I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to have to get some support. I need an accountability partner. So that was finance. So finance and business is like, man, kill it with coaching, kill it with training, because I know myself, and I know that I need the support, right? You may need something different in your areas. I'm just sharing what I need in mine, right? So that was the first thing. Then I recognized, all right, this next area, which I'm going to share with you guys, has been probably one of my most vulnerable areas for a long time. And that is the snatched body. Physical wellness. Oh my gosh. I've gone through so many different journeys with that, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fascinating to me how I'm still over here with, and I suppose this is the first time I have a proper intention around it. Like I sat down and I looked at, was I committed? And I'm committed to my wellness, but I'm usually more committed to my internal wellness, like my food and stuff like that, as opposed to my physical wellness. I'm a yoga girl. I've been doing yoga since 1992. And because I've been doing yoga for so long, it's one of the things that I really enjoy. And I've tried the gym. I've had at least 5 gym memberships. I've hired physical trainers. Like I've hired trainers. I've done all the different things, put up body pictures on my vision board. Clearly, I was not committed because I do not yet have the body results that I want. Yes, I'm slim and I'm shapely. I know that people always tell me, oh, but why you have a body goal? But I have my goals just like everybody else. You don't have to be fat or can't go upstairs in order to have a physical wellness goal. And as I become more mature, I'm in my 40s now, I recognize that my body is changing and it's doing all different kind of things, that I don't recognize. And so I'm trying to make sure that I figure it out. So I realized that I have to take a more committed approach to my physical fitness. Tea is one of those things. I have been managing how much black tea I drink. I went and saw the ophthalmologist, and because my eye has been doing this jumping thing and all kind of something, and he was like, oh yeah, that's just stress. And I'm like, well, that's not good enough. Everybody keeps talking about this stress thing and I'm not stressed out. So what's happening? And he's like, no, because the caffeine in teas and coffees. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to give up my tea. And then he said, no, but so I started to now recognize, all right, so I have to pay attention. I have to listen to my body. I have to really figure out what my body is asking for, which is something that if you have physical well-being and physical wellness on your list of things that you're focusing on, don't just decide that you're going to the gym. Don't make that be the intention. That's not the intention. You have something underneath going to the gym. Why are you wanting to say that I'm going to the gym? Suppose the gym is not for you. Look back and see how many times you've had gym memberships and determine if that is really what works. And maybe it is that you can't go by yourself. Maybe you need to go with a group. Maybe it's not that you need a strength trainer that works with you. Maybe you need to be in like classes. Really pay attention, guys. Don't just write down these things and then just run in, right? I recognize that for my health and wellness, I have to get more discipline, and I need an accountability partner for the strength training part, because that's actually something I need. I've chosen my strength training medium, which is Pilates. I don't yet have the accountability partner figured out. And then the inner wellness part is where the discipline is going to come from, because I used to be liquid vegan and then I shifted now to eating everything. And as at the beginning of the year, last week in particular, I decided that I'm going to shift to having a higher percentage of vegan food in my diet than anything else, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe, 70% vegan. So like my everyday, more of that, less of the fish and less chicken, because I started eating chicken again, and just really trying to do that work. No, food is, when you get addicted to food, it's really challenging to shift away from it, right? So I made up my mind. On Sunday. Sunday? Yeah, I made up my mind on Sunday that I'm doing this thing. And you are probably making up your mind about different things that you're doing too. I made up my mind on Sunday. And then Sunday for dinner, my chef made fried chicken. In Jamaica, they call it French fried chicken. That's the one with the red gravy. And then she made the gungu rice and peas and macaroni and cheese. I'm not supposed to be having no 5 cheese macaroni and cheese. Okay? So I literally, guys, took pictures of my last supper because I was clear in my head that coming out of Sunday, going into the week, I'm now starting to shift back to having things that are more edifying to my soul. So my inner self is going to have a better experience with food. And come Monday morning, I was like, yes, today's the day. I had my herbal tea, my ginger. This is the ginger tea I drink. The Kendall ginger. It comes in the packet, so it's powdered, right? It's powdered. So I usually do this for to break my fast, to start off my morning. I'll have this, and then I'll have water before I go into my full day. And so I had my tea and I had fruit, and I was like, yeah, man. And then lunchtime come around. I work from home. There was leftovers. Do I need to say more? I was having me some French fried chicken and rice and peas and for lunch. What I'm saying here is that I get it. You are not perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. I do not expect to have these kind of challenges the more and more I lean into the intention of eating a particular way, right? So when you talk about being untethered and being detached from the outcomes, it doesn't mean that you're not still looking towards that goal. It means that while you're on the journey, you are not beating up yourself, because that's what we end up doing. We beat up ourselves. While you're on the journey, you're not beating up yourself about the moments that you're not able to hold on to what you know is true. The moments where it will feel like you've taken 10 steps back and only 1 forward. Because that's what happens when you're on any transformation journey. What's going to happen is you're going to feel like you're moving, but you're not really making any traction. You're not building any momentum. And then there'll be times where you'll feel it, right? So you're just starting. It's the beginning of the year. If you have new things new things that you are creating for yourself, then lean into the possibility of those things. And that's why it's so important to have these intentions, because then you can remember your why. Getting up and going to the gym, it does not get easier. It doesn't. It just becomes a habit, which is the next thing that we're going to talk about, that you create. But that habit has to come after you have deliberately understood why I want to do this. And when you have that deliberate understanding, then the goal makes sense and you start to put in place the things you need. So, one of the things I know that I need when it comes to my health and wellness, physical, mental, and internal, like I literally separate the external physical wellness from the internal physical wellness. And I do that because a lot of people exercise to get outside looking good, but then eating stuff that is not helping your organs, not helping your gut, not helping your sinuses, and you're wondering why you're having headaches. It's because you eat, having too much dairy or something. There's just all these different things, right? So I started to put certain things in place, which is my habits. So habits and routines are a great way to help you to anchor in. Aside from getting accountability partners and training and coaches, which is one way I'm handling one of my goals, when it comes to know this physical wellness part, that I'm constantly, when I score the physical wellness part on my assessment, is always a one. I get a one because I just know I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So it always end up down here. So on the one, like low end of it. Right. But there's a section in here that actually asks about, when you get into the future, it asks about, what, when you're focusing, what are the things you're focusing on, and what do you need to put in place to make sure that you're better able to achieve what you say you want. So for each of them, I have to ask myself the questions: how am I going to know when I succeed? So I'm not just writing down on here that, I want to be, I want to have a hot girl body. I mean, literally, guys, that's what I write down. I want a hot girl body, and I want to be all snatched up, and I want to bounce a penny off my butt. Like, I write down those things. That's how I write my goals, right? When I write down those things, I have to now ask myself, how will I feel when I achieve it? How will I know when I have succeeded? Write down the feeling, and then I have to define the actions. Literally, it says define 3 concrete actions that I can take and the resources that I'm going to need. Why is that part important? Because when you're putting something new in your space, you kind of need to double down. It's not enough to just decide, all right, I'm going to go to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm going to eat less of this and more of that. Yeah, I'm going to cut out certain things. You can set those targets, but you're going to have to put certain habits in place and certain routines in place to get you over the hump of your existing circumstances. Remember, in order for you to achieve these wonderful dreams, you have to become somebody else, right? You are not the person currently, otherwise you would have the thing that you want, right? So you're moving towards the person you are becoming. It's just like if you want to become a scholar or a professor, you go to school to learn the things and the ways to become that person, okay? And so that's what I'm talking about. You have to do the things, build the habits, create the routines to help you. What are some of the routines that I'm putting in place? My evening routines had to get better. I had slacked off. And the reason evening routines became a thing is because I realized how much my evening sets me up for my morning. One of the things that I recognize is that in order for me to develop these new habits around journaling or making sure that I pull a card, my meditation practices, any of those morning practices, I have to set up myself from the night before so that my environment is really cool, and I'm making sure that I have what I need. For instance, if I know that I'm going to be doing my journaling and intention card pulling in the morning, I make sure that I carry it to my bedroom with me and put it on my bedside table. I make sure I have a pen. I make sure I have the cards, the journal, even one of the things, because Stacey does not like, and I know myself, I'm a slow riser. I don't like to jump up out of the bed, and it just sets me off on the wrong path. I like to, smoosh around in the sheets, cuddle up with Honey Boo, if he hasn't left me and gone to the gym, which I hate when he does that in the mornings, but that's okay. But I like to move into my mornings. And so if I like that kind of morning, my alarm can't be blaring, making me jumping out of my sleep. I don't have to be traipsing around the house to try to find things for my morning routine. So my evening has to set me up for my morning, or I just have my environment set up so that I have this available to me all the time. And you have to figure out, for your big thing that you want, what are the routines that are going to offer you accelerated results? What is going to make you roar through the year? What is going to make you create the thing that you want? And how do I keep reminding myself of that as I go through the year? January is a great time because it's a unique time of year. Everybody's in the space of goals and all of the things. But here what happened. This is not a one-time thing, one and done. You're going to find that as you move throughout the course of the year, you're going to need to come back to center. You're going to need to come back to your intentions. And I'm not by any means perfect. It's not like every morning I'm waking up and I'm going through my goals. And no, because that would be a bit obsessive to me. And it would make me feel more like I'm trying hard. I really like when things flow and have ease. So I'm willing to put in the work and the effort up front. And then I want to check back in and course correct and have moments, once a month, once a quarter, once every 3 months, where I'm sitting down and kind of going back through. So you want to look at your routines that you have, look at your environment, think about the habits that you have now. If you know you have a habit of hanging out with your girlfriends on a Friday night, I had that habit more so last year. We kind of fell off because we all got busy. But I hung out with my girlfriends last night. It was nice because, I've been running around. Well, not really. I've been stuck at home in my boot, being very good about healing and making sure that I'm resting and stuff. But last night, I was so happy that my girls wanted to get together and get out. And so I got out, and I know that my habits attached to going out look like eating and whatever else. And I eat whatever I'm eating. No, I was very mindful of it. Like, okay, I know I'm no longer having chicken, or I know I'm no longer having steak, so what am I having? What can I eat? And I'm asking, are there vegan options? Are there vegetarian options? Are there, so I'm already shifting away from a particular habit to a new habit. And I am verbalizing it. I'm actually saying it out loud. I'm enrolling the people at my table into my new habit. So I'm not on my own, because I know accountability partners work for me. I know that it helps to have somebody else in the boat, at different times heading in the same direction. Environment is so critical, no matter what your goal is. If you have a goal around love and you know that your bedroom space is not set up for what you're trying to create in the love space, right? Then you're going to have to do some work to make sure that your environment is set up. I remember there's this book I read long time now, Calling in the One, when I was using all different kinds of methods to call in my person. Thank God he's here, because, oh my God, I was on that mission for a minute with intention. Like, I'm getting this man one way or the other. I'm going to figure out who he is and he's going to come. But in Calling in the One, there's a whole chapter that is about setting up your environment to welcome love if you are a single person. And, before I read that chapter of the book, I had no idea about this whole environment thing. I was not paying attention to environment in that way. But when I read the chapter, the author was talking about is your space, in particular your bedroom, because bedrooms have a particular energy and your mind goes in a particular direction. So the whole thing was, is your bedroom set up to welcome love in? And it wasn't talking about the person as much as it was talking about the energy, right? And so what I didn't know was I was looking around my room. It said to do an audit, right? You have to do an audit of the bedroom. So I did an audit of my bedroom. And when I did the audit of my bedroom, the things that were in my bedroom were toys were everywhere because of course I was a single mother. So I have the dolly and the this and the that, and it's very evident that I have the children and that they're spending a whole heap of time in the bedroom. So I had all these different toys and things and all that. And then my closet was packed with, stuff for me. There was definitely no room for anybody else's clothes. I didn't even think about that. Like there was no room for anybody else's clothes. My clothes were pouring out all over the place. I wasn't making space for a person. I was like, why? If I don't have the person, I'm making space for the person. Anywho, the book was like, you should create the space for that energy to be in the room. So I did that. I created a small space because I love clothes and shoes. Small space in my closet, but then I had an entire drawer. I emptied out the drawer in expectation of somebody else's stuff being in the drawer. Then I looked at my bed. My bed was full of work. Now, this is not when clearly the room is clean and things are nice. This is like when I'm in my space. And in my bed, I had my laptop. I had about 3 or 4 different books that I was reading, papers, all the things. There was barely anything on my bedside table. There was no other bedside table. It was just like my bed looked like an office. My bed looked like an office. And so in those moments, I literally saw what my priority was. My priority really was not about welcoming a new love partner. My priority was about working and being a good mom, which are all good things. And at the same time, the question was, well, are you really seeking a partner? Because you want to start to create the habit and the person that is going to welcome this partner into their space. You see what I'm saying, guys? So you have to do the things that are going to support the intention that you have in your life. And I know that we're talking about this a lot because it's January, but this is no matter what time of the year. I mean, this is work that you can start in March if you decide you want something to transform in your life at that point. You still need to put in the effort to actually signal that you want this thing in your life. So whether it means clearing out a drawer so that you can indicate, yes, I'm ready for a lover, in a more permanent way, or it means, getting a new routine going, getting an accountability partner so you can start going to the gym, or it means getting a coach or taking a class so that you can start to move your intention into a tangible thing and become the person that can actually live out that dream. You are the person that is in charge of that. And what's wonderful is that you are also the person that gets to create all of it. Okay? So thank you for joining Tea Time today, guys. That is pretty much what I wanted to talk about. We talked about intention setting. I shared my intention. We talked about, the different goals that I had. I want you to go back and look at the intentions that you have for yourself. And then we started diving into now all the different things that are going to need to support you building up these new routines. We talked about the things for your routines that you need to put in place. One routine I highly recommend: start pulling your intention cards and start writing in your journals. Get intentional about creating the life that you want. It's available to you. All right. Thanks for joining again, guys, and have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. And I will see you next week when we have another cup of tea together. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye bye. Bye, Stacey. See you next week.